All right, so I'm Diane Knoepke. I'm Northwestern MSLOC's Director of Program Engagement and Outreach. And I'm excited to talk to you, John, about this recent experience you had. Will you first introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you.
I will. Yeah, thanks, and glad to do it. And I hope people get some value from this. So, John McGonigle, and I am an MSLOC student. I got my coaching credential through ELOC, which then inspired me to become a graduate student. And so this is my last quarter. I'll be graduating in June. And I'm also in the LEO certificate program.
Amazing. So coaching, equity and inclusion, and the broader learning and organizational change, all the things.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So how did you spend your week last week? Tell us about it.
I volunteered to raise my hand to be considered for the SIOP competition. Luckily, I was chosen, and I spent a very, very intense 5 days in the SIOP competition. I didn't really know what it was going to be like, but in essence, there were 40 students from colleges all over the US, master students, graduate level students. They turned us into 10 consultancies, and we got briefed on a real assignment and had 2 days to put the 3 days to put the assignment together, submit a proposal, and then we presented. We had 30 minutes to present, and luckily the team that I was on was selected as one of the 2 finalists, and then we had a kind of a final presentation, and we ended up finishing second. And but yeah, 5 very, very intense but amazing days.
It sounds very cool. And so SIOP is Society of Industrial and Organizational Psychology. You
Yep.
said there were folks from all different kinds of schools. So, MSLOC has a categorization as an IO Psych program, even though we're also other things. But you said it was all graduate students. Was it master's, PhD?
Yes.
Mixed?
Yes.
Okay.
It was a mixed. I don't know if I know the exact percentage, but I do know that there was a significant portion of PhD students. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was close to 50-50.
Okay. So, and then you said you came in second. So were there judges? How did that work?
There were. So in essence, we had a real life project from John Deere, and you find out, I'll just give you the mechanics of how it works and how we get to that. So you find out the morning, which I think was like a Thursday morning, you find out just before the call who your teammates are. And you have to sign an NDA ahead of time, and you get a bunch of information like right before the call. Then you are briefed. In this case, it was by John Deere. And there was, I think there was 3 people from John Deere, as well as the gentleman whose name is escaping me right now from the University of Minnesota, who runs it. And they briefed us on a real assignment, sent over a bunch of data and kind of an assignment brief. We ended up working through the weekend, submitted a written proposal on Sunday night. And then when we ended up presenting, which was on a Tuesday, the judges take the Monday to read all of the written proposals, which were, I think, 8,000 to 10,000 words. So it was a lift to get that done. And then the 10 teams present, and there were judges from basically all the consultancies that John Deere works with. For instance, like Korn Ferry was there. There must have been at that point maybe 6 or 8 judges from John Deere itself, and then a couple of other consultancies that they work with. So all the 10 we presented, and then we regrouped, and then the judges made the announcement of, okay, here's the 2 groups that are moving to the finals. My group was one of them, and then we presented to that same group again. And they said they would make up their mind within 5 minutes. It took them 25 minutes. to come back and we found out that we finished second. So yeah.
Wow, congratulations. I
Thank
mean,
you.
that is amazing. And it sounds to me like it was pretty realistic, if not condensed, right? I mean, the
Yes.
5 days is a really tight time frame, but sounds pretty analogous to, you know, how you would do this for a client that was, you know, of a consultancy.
I think so. And I think anybody who is interested in what it's like to be a consultant, I think this is something you should consider doing because in essence, and I was in professional services before, sometimes you get a new business opportunity and you only have a number of
Yeah,
days to put something together. And that's
yeah,
basically what this was. So this was very much all of us, we created 10, the 10 groups, we all created a consultancy. We all got the same brief, the same problem, the same set of data.
yeah,
And yeah, that we had to go in and say, this is our recommendation here. We had to support it by the data. We had to go through a pretty rigorous Q&A session to defend our thinking, and needed to show that the things that we were presenting address the business problem, were supported by data, and were executable. And they'd given us a budget and some parameters. So I think it was, it was a kind of a microcosm of what it would like to be a consultant.
yeah. I know we both have had experiences where you really literally the next day you're on the plane and it's like, I heard about that yesterday and now I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That was
that's
this.
real.
It
That's
was
real.
fast. It was fast, and it was intense. Like, set aside everything you have for that period of time to just do that. But
Yeah,
that's what part of what made the experience amazing.
yeah. So just to wrap up, anything that you would say you really gained from participating in this challenge?
Yeah, absolutely. I listen, I think anybody who's even remotely interested in consulting should try to do this. And so the things that I learned, very quickly. First of all, 2 people in my group were PhD students in industrial organizational psychology. So it was, you get exposure to that.
Mhm,
You get to go through the process of delivering on a consulting RFP, which I
mhm.
think is really great. And so there's the learning process where you take the stuff that you've learned from MSLOC, but they're bringing in their perspective,
Yeah,
and you're learning from people. But we had another member of our group was getting a master's in organizational development from NYU. So it was a
yeah,
very kind of an eclectic group. And so you get to learn what it's like to do that, to go through that process and kind of put into practice what you have, but working with other people. And then the last thing is, like, I have an informational interview with John Deere as a
mhm.
result, and I'm going to be reaching out to the other consultants who are there. So you get to meet a lot of people, and so you're learning and you're presenting, but then I learned practically it's a good way to meet people who knows where they go, where these conversations go, but I know that I wouldn't be having them without having done the SIOP competition.
That's great. Well, I'm sure it was mutually very beneficial for the folks to get to work with you and for you to get to work with them. So thanks for recapping this for us. Anything else that you would want to add?
Just if you're at all curious, raise your hand. It was pretty amazing. I would do it again in a second.
Amazing. Thank you so much, John.
My pleasure. Thanks for sending me.
Of course. Thank you.